As the American government attempts a coup of Maduro in Venezuela, potentially starting a new war, Rachel Maddow isn't really focused on that. She's more focused on how Trump's national security advisor, John Bolton, is saying things a little differently than Trump is in public. Watch.
I mean, how do you come to work anymore if you were John Bolton? Right? Regardless of what you thought about John Bolton before this, of his whole career and his track record, I mean, just think of John Bolton as a human being. This is what John Bolton, human being, thought his job was this week. Like, again, whether you like what he's saying here or not, this is what they've had him out there saying.
The Trump administration has also made the claim that Russia is very much involved in propping up the Maduro regime. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo told my colleague Wolf Blitzer yesterday that there was a plane waiting to take Maduro to Cuba, but the Russians talked him out of it. What exactly is the Russian role here?
Look, the Russians like nothing better than putting a thumb in our eye. They're using the Cubans as surrogates. They'd love to get effective control of a country in this hemisphere. We've made it clear to the Russians in a lot of conversations at a lot of different levels, some of which are going to continue today, why we think this behavior is unacceptable to us.
Yeah, you thought that was your job, but it turns out not at all. Not after Vladimir Putin gets done with President Trump today.
He is not looking at all to get involved in Venezuela, other than he'd like to see something positive happen for Venezuela.
Putin doing anything in Venezuela? Who said Putin's doing anything bad in Venezuela? Who have you been listening to? I'm with him. He says he's not. I mean, John Bolton, God bless you. Good luck delicately and carefully shaving around that impressive mustache when you have to look at yourself in the mirror in coming days, Mr. National Security Advisor. I mean, this is who you're working for. You thought your job was to push Russia back because of what they're doing in Venezuela. The president spent an hour on the phone with Vladimir Putin today. Putin told him he's not in Venezuela. So now the new position of the U.S. government is that Putin's not in Venezuela.
All right. Let's for a second put aside the fact that John Bolton is a terrible person. There isn't a war that John Bolton hasn't liked. Let's just put that aside. Why is Rachel Maddow so focused on process or keeping up appearances over the actual substance of an attempted coup in Venezuela? I mean, for a journalist, this is weird. And this really shows you what a lot of media does in New York and Washington. It's not just Maddow, even though Maddow is a huge, I mean, the past couple of years, she has just, in my mind, or in my opinion, completely lost her mind in terms of her reporting on the Trump administration being so focused on Russiagate as opposed to what the administration is actually doing to people. But this is what they focus on. They focus on appearances. Oh, Trump said something different than what John Bolton said. Oh my God. How about focusing on what the policy is, the impact on real lives? So let's just take Maddow's worst case scenario. Let's say that, yes, Trump is working with Putin to urge caution in Venezuela and to not attempt a coup of Maduro. That's the right position. So even if Trump is working with Putin on this, they have the correct position. I mean, you have this media that is so focused on the Russian interference in the American election, but when America goes and interferes in other countries, oh, it's fine, it's okay. That isn't the problem. The problem is that John Bolton and Trump are saying different things in public. It's really odd. Now, let me also just read this piece from Aaron Matei in the Gray Zone. Whether accounts of Trump's second-guessing are correct or not, it is one more indictment of the delusional Russiagate media culture that one of its leading voices, Maddow, is actually discouraging a peaceful outcome in Venezuela rather than welcoming moves towards de-escalation. So, that's exactly right. Maddow is overly focused on Trump's potential connections to Putin instead of the focus on Venezuela and what an attempted coup would do to that country, or an actual coup would do to that country. So, I mean, the way she's treating Bolton in that clip is she's acting like he's the one that is saying the right thing, and that Trump is only trying to de-escalate the situation in Venezuela because he's talking to Putin. This is not what you want to encourage as a journalist who was supposed to be left-wing, but is absolutely nowhere close. In fact, this report from Maddow is the kind of report you would expect from Fox News if they were actually focused on conservative policy. So if Fox News was more than just a Trump propaganda outlet, this is the kind of report they would put out. Because Trump here is, at least in his rhetoric, is trying to be a little less conservative than usual. So this should be encouraged. So to side with John Bolton, the guy that wants to go to war everywhere, over Trump's rhetoric here in trying to de-escalate the situation, just completely misses the point on what this situation really is all about.